Hello, and welcome to Coffee to C Sharp, Lesson 1, Installing Visual Studio. This precise tutorial may be obsolete within a few months as Visual Studio 2022 and Windows 11 are due to be released in the near future, but unless there are major changes, everything should be relatively similar. First off, I have a clean install of Windows 10, with the exception that I installed Chrome and set it as my default browser. Today we're going to install Visual Studio 2019. Visual Studio is an IDE, or Integrated Development Environment, made by Microsoft. An IDE is a piece of software that includes, at minimum, a code editor, access to the language API, and a compiler. Now, Visual Studio is a quite complicated IDE. It has a lot of features, but you won't use most of them. We'll talk about each of the pieces of the IDE as we go and how to use it. Let's start by opening a browser and going to visualstudio.microsoft.com/vs/community. And then click on Download Visual Studio. And then over here, we'll wait for the installer to download, and what we're doing is we're downloading an installer that installs an installer. I know it sounds insane, but that's the way it is. So we'll go ahead and open this up. Okay, and the Visual Studio installer is downloading, and then we're going to say yes. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. Okay, so it's going to download and configure itself. So right now it's still installing the installer. I know this sounds insane, but it only takes a few minutes. Okay. So we are in the installer now, and this is where we pick out what we're going to be using Visual Studio for. For our purposes, we're at the very minimum going to want to pick the .NET Desktop development, and we should, for future stuff, pick out the data storage and processing, and we should also grab ASP.NET. That'll at least give us web development and database. And then once we're done, now you make sure you have enough space, but once you're done, go ahead and click install. And it will go ahead and download everything and install it while it's downloading. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a cut here, because I'm pretty sure you don't want to just sit here and watch it download and install. I do want to point out that this does take a little while, especially if your internet connection is not particularly fast. So it's not a bad idea to get up, get a cup of coffee, or work on something else while this is happening, because, like I said, it's big. There's a lot of stuff being downloaded. Just this is about 10.5 gigs. Come on. This is the one thing I hate about all of this process, is that Visual Studio Installer takes a long time, and part of it is because of the size of Visual Studio. I'm hoping Visual Studio gets smaller when 2022 comes out. Okay, cleaning up. It's the last step, I think. Okay. And it's done. Now, because we didn't deselect the checkbox, Visual Studio is going to start up all on its own. Okay, so now the easiest way for you to this is Visual Studio Community, and the easiest way for Visual Studio to play nice with you is honestly to sign in with your Microsoft account if you have one. If you don't, that's okay, but it may bug you later. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And if you're using Windows 10 and you have your account and you're logged in to your Windows account or your Microsoft account through Windows, then it might automatically sign you in. There's no guarantee though. So yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and get myself signed in here. When I installed this copy of Windows 10, I did not install, or I did not use my Microsoft profile. It didn't seem necessary. The initial parts of getting Visual Studio set up is a lot of waiting. It's almost entirely waiting. Once again, we're waiting. We're waiting for it to finish doing the login and starting it up. Okay, so we've got Visual Studio started, and we can go ahead and close the installer. Next time, we will go ahead and start from having Visual Studio closed all the way, but this is the first window that you see, and then we will jump into it and start talking about different projects and how to do what you intend to do. See you next time.